with the experience of ABC News.
The Dallas Theater Center presents All My Sons by Arthur Miller, winner of the New York Drama Critics Circle Award. All My Sons, the unforgettable story of an American family in the aftermath of war. A compelling story of love, of family, of country, of humanity. All My Sons, on stage at the Dallas Theater Center through February 17th. For ticket information, call 526-8857. All My Sons, presented in the spirit of Texas.
People in Pueblo, Colorado can't really say why they do things better than most.
I was born with a green thumb, I guess.
Of course, it's got nothing to do with Pueblo being the home of the Consumer Information Catalog.
Just a little something I made for science class.
No, it's got nothing to do with that catalog's list of almost 200 government booklets on everything from jobs and financial affairs.
I've always been good with numbers. That's a dog. Sell.
To education, federal benefits, health, and exercise. So, naturally, you wouldn't expect these folks to tell you that getting a free catalog and sample booklet is as easy as sending your name and address to Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado, 81009. See, the people in Pueblo can't really say why they do things better than most.
Great day for a run.
But could it have anything to do with writing for a free consumer information catalog?
Nah.
This is WFAA TV, Channel 8, Dallas-Fort Worth. Working in the spirit of Texas, WFAA TV, News 8 presents Quinn Matthews and Neil Barton. This is News 8 Daybreak.
For those of you just tuning in, Operation Desert Storm tops the news at daybreak. Good morning. I'm Quinn Matthews, and Lisa McCree joins us in the newsroom here this morning.
Quinn, for the next hour, we'll sum up what's happened in the war now being waged in the Middle East. We'll have a report from Cindy Kennard, who's in the Middle East, and our reporters covering reaction locally. We'll also update you on the financial markets and, of course, the weather.
Well, first, Operation Desert Shield is now Operation Desert Storm. Between 5:30 and 6 our time yesterday evening, the United States began what President Bush called the liberation of Kuwait, launching a massive air attack. That was before dawn Iraqi time. A second wave struck about 7 hours later. It was daytime in Baghdad, about 1 a.m. our time. There is no confirmation from the Pentagon, but Baghdad radio reports that 14 attacking planes were shot down overnight. Again, there's been no word from the Pentagon on whether there have been any casualties in the raids. And now reports say fighting has spread to the ground. Kuwaiti radio reported this morning that Allied ground forces are moving toward Kuwait. The radio also quoted reports as saying that a group of Iraqi forces has surrendered to the multinational forces. And Egypt's Middle East news agency reports that Allied armored brigades along the Kuwaiti-Saudi border are exchanging fire with Iraqi tanks.
ABC's Gary Shepard is in Baghdad this morning, and he gives us a picture of what the city is like right now, 12 hours after the attack.
It is 5 minutes after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there have been continued daytime attacks off and on during the day. We occasionally hear anti-aircraft fire and the sounds of bombs exploding. Earlier, I was out driving around the city, and there was very little evidence of damage. We are told that much of the targeting was on the far outskirts of Baghdad. We've been unable to drive that distance to check and see exactly what was hit. In the main part of the capital itself, there's very little evidence of bombing damage, and as a matter of fact, vehicles are driving on the streets, and there are even people trying to find rides. There are very few taxi cabs out today. Most of the drivers apparently stayed home, because of the attack, and there are people that are literally standing on street corners trying to thumb rides to get from one place to another.
And that's Gary Shepard reporting this morning from Baghdad. Well, the Bush administration has said all along, Saddam is not a target. This morning, in a radio message, Saddam called President Bush Satan in the White House. And he says Iraq will triumph because he says God is on his side.
At 2:30 a.m. tonight, on the 16th of January, the treacherous foes And Bush, the Satan, has perpetrated his crime. He and the criminal Zionism. And the great battle has been initiated, the mother of all battles.
No one knows exactly where Saddam is now, although he was said to be seen at the Iraqi state television station earlier this morning. Reports do say, though, he was not in his Baghdad palace when the bombs fell. Quinn?
A nation that is in a very delicate position physically and literally is the nation of Jordan. It's sandwiched between Iraq and Israel. Jordan has closed its airspace today, but fear on the streets has yet to set in. Channel 8's Cindy Kennard is in Amman.
As the sun came up above the hills of Jordan, the news of the attack on Baghdad slowly filtered through homes here.
As far as citizens waking up this morning, the first thing they saw was a newspaper headline which in fact did indicate that war had broken out in the Gulf. But life here is really rather routine, with citizens coming and going to work and going shopping. There is no evidence in this capital city that it has been disrupted by air attacks on its neighbor Iraq. A Western diplomat did warn yesterday that perhaps there would be civil unrest as a result of a U.S.-led attack on Baghdad, but we have seen no evidence of that up to this point. A funeral for a PLO leader who was murdered earlier this week, which was scheduled to go through Amman today and trigger anti-American sentiment, has been canceled, and that should ease growing Jordan security concerns here in Amman. Cindy Kennard, Channel 8 News.
In Israel this morning, the mood is still very tense. The nation remains in a state of emergency. Israel's army has ordered all citizens, except those with vital jobs, to stay at home and keep their gas masks ready for a possible chemical attack. Saddam Hussein had threatened to strike against Israel immediately following a U.S. attack on Iraqi soil. So far, though, military sources say they have been able to detect no offensive action. American fighter pilots now back on Saudi Arabian soil describe the air attacks on Iraq as a brilliant fireworks display.
Lots of ground fire, lots of AAA, that's anti-aircraft artillery. And like I say, I think there was one SAM fired that I saw, but it was so far away and up through the smoke and haze, it was hard to make it out.
So nothing came close to you?
No, but that's the beauty of the system. We can stay far enough away that that's not going to be a problem for us.
The pilots attributed the success of the mission to the months of preparation in the Saudi desert.
Yesterday during the evening news, reporters in Baghdad witnessed the start of the war. Now here's what we saw and heard.
Something is definitely underway here. Something is going on. The whole sky lit up with these flashes continually. It appears that there is tracer fire coming up from the ground, and an incredible panorama of flashes continuing as I speak.
Just as you came to it, the skies lit up again with anti-aircraft fire. All right, we're going to let you hear it.
President Bush understandably had little sleep last night monitoring the situation. He was awake and greeted reporters in the White House press room early this morning. He's scheduled to meet with Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney and Secretary of State Baker in about a half hour from now. His regular security briefing is scheduled for later this morning. Well, last night the president said the battle that brought Allied bombing raids on Iraq actually began with the invasion of Kuwait August 2nd.
Addressing the nation last night, Mr. Bush said he gave the order to strike because he said the world could wait no longer.
While the world waited, Saddam Hussein met every overture of peace with open contempt. While the world prayed for peace, Saddam prepared for war. Tonight, 28 nations, countries from 5 continents, Europe and Asia, Africa and the Arab League, have forces in the Gulf area standing shoulder to shoulder against Saddam Hussein. These countries had hoped the use of force could be avoided. Regrettably, we now believe that only force will make him leave. I've told the American people before that this will not be another Vietnam. And I repeat this here tonight. Our troops will have the best possible support in the entire world, and they will not be asked to fight with one hand tied behind their back. We are determined to knock out Saddam Hussein's nuclear bomb potential. We will also destroy his chemical weapons facilities. Much of Saddam's artillery and tanks will be destroyed.
The president said he hopes fighting will not go on for long and that casualties will be held to an absolute minimum.
If you have family serving in Operation Desert Storm, the Pentagon has set up a series of telephone numbers to call for general information. For the Army general information, call 703-614-0739. The Air Force information number is 1-800-253-9276. The Navy number is 1-800-732-1206. The Marine Corps information number is 1-800-523-2694. And the Coast Guard number will be open after 8 o'clock this morning. That number, 1-800-283-8724. The Pentagon asked callers to provide correct spelling of the service member's last name and other pertinent information, such as rank, Social Security number, and military unit.
We'll be back with a look at world reaction to the war.
Stay with us when Daybreak continues after this.
A chance of rain this Thursday morning and a high of 50. Right now, 9 minutes past 6.
Here it is in detail. Foley's Red Apple Sale.
Foley's opens early tomorrow at 8 a.m. It's our last red apple of the year with 2-day savings of 20 to 50%.
Shop early, shop late, but don't hesitate.
You know the holidays are always a time of give and take. But with Foley's Red Apple Sale, you can give a lot more.
Foley's Red Apple Sale.
Grapefruit juice? Sure, it's good for you, but...
Great for dieting, but...
Plenty of healthy vitamin C, but...
But the taste? Well, pour on the pink. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. A taste so smooth, so sweet, you know it's Ocean Spray.
This I like. It's not bitter.
Hey, so smooth, so sweet. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's not just good for you, it's good. Ocean Spray good.
Just when you thought all hope was lost in the fight against high prices, Eckerd Drugs fights back with Super Buys. When you see this sign at Eckerd, you know we've captured a special manufacturer's discount. And we're passing that discount on to you. But these buys don't last. They can't. Super Buys only last until we run out. So when you see this sign, stock up. Because when it's gone, it's gone. Super Buys only at Eckerd.
Daybreak continues now on Channel 8. It's 6:11.
Soviet President Gorbachev addressed the Soviet people on national television this morning. The Soviet leader said Secretary of State James Baker phoned him to say an attack was imminent. Gorbachev says he asked Bush to make one final effort to avert war through direct contact with Saddam. The Soviet president says while he regrets war was inevitable, he knows his country, he says, did everything possible to try to resolve the crisis peacefully. Gorbachev sympathized with countries engaged in the war.
What consequences for the Arabic people, for American people, for the whole international situation, what losses it can bring. We express our deep sorrow that military confrontation could not be averted.
In the southern note, troops in the southern region of the Soviet Union have been placed on high alert.
British Prime Minister John Major also addressed the Gulf situation this morning. Speaking to reporters, he said the devastation to Iraq and Kuwait so far should leave no question in Saddam's mind of what his choices are.
I hope now that it is clear to Iraq that the scale of the Allied operation is such that they cannot win. I hope that Saddam Hussein will now make a very swift decision that he must do what he has been invited to do by the world community for a long time, that he should get out of Kuwait and enable this matter to end swiftly and decisively. I hope that he will do.
Major said he was up all night and consulted frequently with the White House, with President Bush informing him on the timing of the attack. In Brussels, NATO ambassadors held an emergency session early this morning to reaffirm their support for the pre-dawn attack on Iraq. NATO Secretary General Manfred Werner said, although members deeply regret that a peaceful solution failed, they stand united and full-heartedly back the United Nations Security Council resolutions. That includes defending Turkey, the only NATO member that borders Iraq, against an Iraqi invasion.
The man who tried so hard to avert war in the 11th hour, United Nations Secretary General Javier Pérez de Cuellar, is also defending the massive U.S.-led attack against Iraq. The UN Security Council held emergency talks early this morning to discuss what action to take now that war has broken out. A UN spokesman said any proposal for a ceasefire would be premature at this point, but he noted the council would meet again to review developments in the Gulf.
There is more to come on Daybreak.
And we will hear whether local veterans think this is a just war and healthcare workers' views on their role. Stay with us.
It's 14 minutes past 6.
Only one Worcestershire is allowed to rest 2 long years until it's aged to the peak of flavor. Lee and Perrins.
50 reasons why Chevy trucks outsell Ford in Texas. Reason number 7, the Chevy C1500 has more standard horsepower than the Ford F-150. 50 reasons why Chevy trucks outsell Ford in Texas. Reason number 8, the Chevy C1500 gets better gas mileage than the Ford F-150. If you act now, you can buy a Chevy full-size pickup and save over $2,600 at your North Texas Chevy GO dealer. One more reason why Chevy outsells Ford in Texas.
Avanti Furs liquidation and clearance sale ends Monday at 9 p.m. Hundreds of furs are at cost or below. Imagine full-length female mink coats for $9.99. American Ultra mink coats for only $14.99. Crystal Fox strollers starting at less than $500. $29.99 female black llama mink, blue blush, or shadow fox jackets. $149. And mink coats for only $8.88. Avanti Furs won't be undersold. Every fur, every price is now slashed. But hurry. Once it's over, it's over. Avanti Furs below cost ends Monday at Valley View Center.
Now over here, we're going to put that computer. You don't want it over there? I don't know. I think we should...
When the moment comes to build your dreams, no card's better than Gold MasterCard.
This corner's for your weight machine.
With more buying power at nearly 3 times more places than American Express.
This wall's for your trophies. No pressure, though. Yeah.
Gold MasterCard, piece by piece, the best gold card to master the moment.
Now this is a baseball.
Only one Worcestershire is allowed to rest 2 long years until it's aged to the peak of flavor. Lee and Perrins.
It's 16 minutes past 6 o'clock.
Operation Desert Storm tops the news this Thursday morning, January 17th. Here's a summary of what has happened. The United States and its allies have pounded Iraq with 2 waves of airstrikes. The U.S. says the targets are military and communications. Saddam Hussein apparently survived the night of fire, still sounding defiant in a radio broadcast. Amman Radio reports Iraq has been shelling oil installations in Saudi Arabia, and Iraq claims it has hit 14 Allied planes. A Pentagon spokesman calls the claim a ridiculous exaggeration.
Some of the people most interested in the war heard the news of its breakout while being treated in a medical facility that could receive some American war casualties. Channel 8's Dennis Johnson reports from the Dallas VA Medical Center.
Outwardly, the Dallas Veterans Administration Medical Center was relatively quiet, but in the patient rooms, emotions and memories of wars past came alive for many veterans. Obi Riddle, a Korean War vet, will have heart surgery in the morning. News of the Gulf airstrikes brought mixed feelings.
I just had a terrible thought of how many people would be hurt. Children and mothers and dads. And he had to be stopped, my opinion.
A few rooms away, Emmanuel Berry, who served in the Philippines in World War II, watched the coverage intently.
And Hussein has got to be crazy to think that he can whoop the United States and the rest of the world. But it's funny feeling to hear those planes. It gives you a feeling to hear those planes taking off when you're sitting here looking at them on television.
The nursing staff went about its business, but with an ear to the radio.
Military sources here say that they have no indication that there's been any attempt to launch an attack on Israel.
The nurses are trained to monitor medical signs. Tonight, there were other messages in the air from the patients.
I'm picking up the fact that it has actually started. And I believe that they knew it was going to start, but they just didn't know when.
The VA hospitals in Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio are ready to treat casualties if necessary.
We've all been praying for peace, just like everybody in the country, but we are also prepared. We've exercised the plan. The employees are prepared, and we're prepared to provide beds if they're needed for casualties. This particular medical center is prepared to provide 50 to 60 beds if needed.
We were given an in-service on care of chemical burns. We're trained professionals, and we will be ready for any casualties that come. And we will all be praying also.
Praying there won't be many injured veterans of America's newest war. Dennis Johnson, Channel 8 News.
Well, time for a first look at traffic across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Let's go to Deborah Weeks right now and see what the roads look like. Deborah, good morning.
Good morning, Quinn. A very serious injury collision this morning. Delafield at Military Parkway. That's just east of Loop 12 Buckner Boulevard. You'll begin to see congestion building westbound I-30 east R.L. Thornton through the Canyon area. Fort Worth and the Mid-Cities faring nicely so far this morning. Deborah Weeks, News 8 Metro Traffic.
This Metro Traffic Report is sponsored by your North Texas Chevy Geo dealers, where right now you'll find 50 reasons why Texans prefer Chevy trucks over Ford, and by Southwest Airlines.
50 reasons why Chevy trucks outsell Ford in Texas. Reason number 1, all Chevy trucks have 3-year, 50,000-mile warranties. Ford's basic warranty is 1 year or 12,000 miles. 50 reasons why Chevy trucks outsell Ford in Texas. Reason number 40, Chevy's S10 pickup has more standard horsepower than the Ford Ranger. Save over $3,000 on a well-equipped S10 Tahoe. Now just $98.30 at your North Texas Chevy Geo dealer. One more reason why Chevy outsells Ford in Texas.
It looked like another boring month. He was going to rearrange his sock drawer. She thought they'd fix the cap. Then they discovered Southwest Airlines fun fares. Soon they were jetting away from just $20 to all sorts of exciting cities, seeing things their mothers had warned them about, eating food they couldn't pronounce, laughing out loud for no apparent reason. Fun fares are on sale for as little as $20 in honor of our 20th anniversary. This is not a joke. You cannot lie on TV. Fun, 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 flying Southwest on a fun fair today.
The Big Zero. That's the finance charge at Highland for 1 full year on new in-carton merchandise. From audio and video to home office equipment and appliances on purchases of $250 or more. In fact, everything you've ever wanted is at Highland Superstore's 0% financing event with absolutely no interest payment. And by the way, it's now through Saturday only.
Exercise is an attitude about yourself. It's not a craze. It's not a trend. It's an attitude about life. Are you going to get in there, and are you going to fight, and are you going to do something where you're in control of it? There's a payoff for me, and I want that edge. I don't want to lose that edge.
Resolutions don't cut it. Exercise does. Presidents. Start now at last year's rates, pay nothing for 30 days.
It's 21 minutes past 6. Yesterday afternoon, we got a glimpse of a lot of sunshine. It's quite nice outside.
It was, and Neil has the weather for us this morning. Neil?
Quinn and Lisa, clouds and rain are back in our forecast for today. Right now, cloudy outside. We're at 44 with a wind chill of 35 degrees. Let's go on now and take a look at radar. We see some light rain just to our north and to our west, moving to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. And as the day goes on, our chance of rain will increase. Looking at the 4D satellite picture, we see our clear skies turning into cloudy skies. As a big upper low makes its way into North Texas, it'll do so overnight. This afternoon, we'll see a very good chance of snow across the Trans-Pecos region. And tomorrow at this time, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow around the Abilene area. Let's look at the flat satellite picture. And again, this morning, we have a big tongue of moisture coming in, northerly winds. And as this upper low gets closer, again, more rain in the forecast until about early Saturday morning. Temperatures this morning. Let's see, those are the wrong temperatures. Let's just go ahead and go on now and take a look at our next element, and that will be the noon forecast board. Around 45 at noon, rain moving in out of the southwest, winds northeast at 5. By 5 o'clock, our high should be somewhere around 50. Very good chance of rain then, maybe even some embedded thunder showers, winds east-northeast at 10 to 15. And tomorrow, rain everywhere, a cold, rainy day. Tomorrow morning's low about 42, our high should be 45, and again, snow west, but here, just rain. Here's the 5-day forecast. Well, just for today, cloudy with scattered showers, a high of 50, low tonight 42, and again right now it's 44. Rain all the way through around Friday night, then by this weekend, back to a sunny weather pattern, and that's the good news in the weather.
Sounds good. Thank you, Neil. When we come back, a complete wrap-up of the situation in Iraq.
And in the meantime, if you'd like to call for specific war information, Channel 8 has set up a hotline. That number is 988-7888.
We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Listen. The time, 23 minutes past 6.
Think 943-7303.
Think 943-7303. Think Rodney D. Young.
At Rodney D. Young, there's never a down payment. Your first month's premium puts your policy in force with
Rodney D. Young.
When you need quality, affordable auto liability insurance, pick up the phone and call
Rodney D. Young.
Think 943-7303. Think Rodney D. Young. Think Young.
Last year, 60,000 businesses in America failed. At NCNB, we believe the growth of our country still hinges on the growth of our country's businesses. That's why this year we'll provide over $5 billion in loans for everything from small businesses to large corporations. After all, we didn't get to be the nation's 7th largest banking company without making the nation's business our business.
We're about to demonstrate something very few people know how to do. Cut hair without making a mistake. The secret is in the technique. It's a revolutionary way to cut hair. And the result is a completely accurate, no mistakes, easy to care for, no hassle haircut. This is the way everyone should cut hair. Others try, but no one does it better than Supercuts.
Now, News 8 Daybreak continues.
The United States and its allied forces this morning are at war in the Persian Gulf. Good morning, I'm Quinn Matthews. Lisa McCree joins us this morning, too, as we bring you up to date on what is now called Operation Desert Storm. Lisa?
Quinn, between 5:30 and 6 our time yesterday evening, the United States began what President Bush called the liberation of Kuwait, launching a massive air attack. A second wave struck about 1 our time this morning, but there is no confirmation. But Baghdad radio reports that 14 attacking planes were shot down overnight. There's been no word from the Pentagon on whether or not there have been any casualties in the raids. And now reports say the fighting has spread to the ground. Kuwaiti radio reported this morning that Allied ground forces are moving toward Kuwait. The radio also quoted reports as saying that a group of Iraqi forces has surrendered to the multinational forces. And Egypt's Middle East news agency reports tank fights in the area. The agency says Allied tanks along the Saudi-Kuwait border have exchanged fire with Iraqi tanks. ABC's Gary Shepard is in Baghdad this morning, and he gives us a picture of what the city's like now, more than 12 hours after that first Allied attack.
It is 5 minutes after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there have been continued daytime attacks off and on during the day. We occasionally hear anti-aircraft fire and the sounds of bombs exploding. Earlier, I was out driving around the city, and there was very little evidence of damage. We are told that much of the targeting was on the far outskirts of Baghdad. We've been unable to drive that distance to check and see exactly what was hit. In the main part of the capital itself, there's very little evidence of bombing damage. And as a matter of fact, vehicles are driving on the streets, and there are even people trying to find rides. There are very few taxi cabs out today. Most of the drivers apparently stayed home, because of the attack. And there are people that are literally standing on street corners trying to thumb rides to get from one place to another.
ABC's Gary Shepard reporting from Baghdad this morning. The Bush administration has said all along that Saddam is not a target. Apparently, Saddam has survived the fire that's rained out of the sky in Iraq. Well, this morning on Iraqi state radio, Saddam called President Bush Satan in the White House. And he said Iraq will triumph because he says God is on his side.
At 2:30 a.m. tonight, on the 16th of January, the treacherous foes and Bush, the Satan, has perpetrated his crime. He and the criminal Zionism. And the great battle has been initiated, the mother of all battles.
There was no indication whether Saddam was broadcasting live or whether that message was recorded. A CNN satellite engineer says he saw Saddam overnight at the Iraqi television station. The nation of Jordan is sandwiched between Iraq and Israel.
And this morning, Jordan has closed its airspace, but fear on the streets has yet to set in. Here's Channel 8's Cindy Kennard.
As the sun came up above the hills of Jordan, the news of the attack on Baghdad slowly filtered through homes here.
As far as citizens waking up this morning, the first thing they saw was a newspaper headline which in fact did indicate that war had broken out in the Gulf. But life here is really rather routine, with citizens coming and going to work and going shopping. There is no evidence in this capital city that it has been disrupted by air attacks on its neighbor Iraq. A Western diplomat did warn yesterday that perhaps there would be civil unrest as a result of a U.S.-led attack on Baghdad, but we have seen no evidence of that up to this point. A funeral for a PLO leader who was murdered earlier this week, which was scheduled to go through Amman today and trigger anti-American sentiment, has been canceled, and that should ease growing Jordan security concerns here in Amman. Cindy Kennard, Channel 8 News.
In Israel this morning, the mood is tense. That nation remains in a state of emergency. Israel's army has ordered all citizens except those with vital jobs to stay home and keep their gas masks ready for a possible chemical attack. Saddam Hussein had threatened to strike against Israel immediately if he was attacked by the U.S. on Iraqi soil. So far, though, military sources say they have been able to detect no offensive action by Iraq against Israel. And as far as we know, American fighter pilots who led the air assault on Iraq returned to bases in Saudi Arabia safely. ABC reporter Jim Hickey is at one joint Air Force and Marine facility in the Saudi desert, and he has this report.
The power was awesome. In fact, one commander at this Persian Gulf Air Base called it the most powerful air armada that has ever been formed.
And they're ready, the airplanes are ready, and now their mission is being executed. That brings a tremendous self-satisfaction to me as the wing commander.
At precisely 1:26 in the morning, 5:26 in New York, the Air Force 35th Tactical Fighter Wing launched the attack. Leading them all, Squadron Leader Lieutenant Colonel George Walton from San Antonio, Texas.
Feels very good to be started, and it's the road home, the quickest road home for us.
First up, more than a dozen F-4 Wild Weasels. They went after Iraqi surface-to-air SAM missile sites. With their afterburners glowing hot in the dark, the jets quickly disappeared in the clear, cool, and very dark night. No moon, perfect for an air assault. As some of the Wild Weasels headed straight to Baghdad, FA-18s from the 3rd Marine Air Wing roared to the skies. Wave after wave of aircraft took off, including A-6 intruders and radar-jamming electronic warfare planes. Officials here say the first missiles hit Baghdad at 3 a.m., 7 p.m. in New York, on time and on target. By dawn, the first pilots were back. They included Colonel Walton. Mission accomplished. He blew up SAM missile sites just outside Baghdad.
This was tremendous. Baghdad was lit up like a Christmas tree. Looked like everything in downtown was, fireworks were going off, a lot of AAA, impacts on the ground. I think we hit there just about the time we're 60, 40 miles south is when they're pounding targets in Baghdad.
As Walton and the other pilots headed off for breakfast, ground crews rearmed their planes. They will be going after Iraq again and again.
Military commanders fully expected Iraqi retaliation on this airbase. In fact, there were 2 air raid alerts during the night. Iraqi missiles apparently were detected headed in this direction, but local officials said they fell short. This is Jim Hickey with the television pool at an airbase in the Persian Gulf.
Leaders throughout the global community are voicing their opinions on the war in the Gulf this morning. Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev, in an address on Soviet television, expressed his regret that the crisis could not be solved peacefully. Gorbachev said he urged President Bush to make one last attempt to avert war by directly contacting Saddam Hussein. British Prime Minister John Major told reporters this morning the attacks on Iraq and Kuwait should be so devastating that Saddam should have no choice but to withdraw his troops from Kuwait. In Brussels, NATO ambassadors held an emergency session early this morning to reaffirm their support for the pre-dawn attack on Iraq. NATO Secretary General Manfred Werner said although members deeply regret that a peaceful solution failed, they stand united and full-heartedly back the United Nations Security Council resolutions. That includes defending Turkey, the only NATO member that borders Iraq, against an Iraqi invasion. Well, the UN Security Council held emergency talks early this morning to discuss what action to take now that war has broken out. A UN spokesman said any proposal for a ceasefire would be premature at this point, but he noted that the council would meet again to review developments in the Gulf. Quinn?
Friends and family of soldiers from the Fort Hood Army base near Killeen gathered around television sets, anxiously awaiting news from Iraq. About 23,000 troops from the base have been deployed to Saudi Arabia. Once the attack began, the reality of war set in for loved ones.
I think I kind of expected it, but until it really hit, it didn't hit me. Yeah. I guess I was hoping that it would solve itself or something. Reality hit, and it's not real pleasant.
I don't think you can let a man like Saddam Hussein do this to innocent people. I mean, you just can't let him come in and take over a country. These people didn't do anything to him.
Two-thirds of the Fort Hood troops are connected to tank divisions that are among the lead U.S. ground forces in Saudi Arabia. At Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth, security continues to be tight with ID checks on everyone who attempted to pass through the main gate. Carswell officials last night were allowing no media visits on base and would make no comments about Air Force activities there. Some jets were taking off and landing, but they appeared to be routine touch and goes. Carswell has more than a dozen B-52s, but again, no one at Carswell would comment on possible B-52 deployment to aid in Operation Desert Storm. The Allied invasion of Iraq is already affecting security and travel at major commercial airports across the country.
DFW Airport began beefing up security just minutes after last night's invasion. Channel 8's Dave Evans reports.
Most arriving passengers at DFW Airport learned from their pilots before landing that the U.S. was at war. Dozens of connecting passengers then gathered around TV sets or radios to listen for the latest from the Gulf. For many, it was difficult.
Yes, it was. I also have a 20-year-old son, so it was definitely on my mind a lot. There was extra security in Madrid, and they closed off the streets around the American Embassy in Madrid this morning. That was on the news, so that added more fear and apprehension.
Shortly after the invasion, the FAA ordered even tighter security at the airport, going to what's called an Alert 3 level. That's just one step below the most serious category possible. Public Affairs Director Joe Dealey Jr. says DFW has never had a Level 3 alert.
The most noticeable impact here at DFW will be that there will that ticketed passengers, only ticketed passengers, will be permitted beyond the pre-board screening checkpoint area.
Airline and airport officials came to a late-night meeting to discuss new security measures. They know the FAA could order a Level 4 alert later this week, especially if any American airport is targeted by terrorists.
The most noticeable effect of going from threat level 3 to 4 will be a discontinuation of curbside check-in of luggage. In the event that happens, there will certainly be some inconvenience and disruption for the flying public.
So far, no one has even hinted at any kind of threat at DFW. Still, security forces are ready, and many passengers here say a little inconvenience is worth the extra safety. Dave Evans, Channel 8 News, DFW Airport.
And now Deborah Weeks will take a look at the ground traffic. Deborah?
Quinn, a stalled car causing congestion eastbound I-30, the Old Turnpike near Loop 12, Walton Walker. Southbound 75 Central, slow go from Northwest Highway to Woodall Rogers, and traffic thick westbound 121, the Airport Freeway from Beach Street to I-35, the North Freeway. Deborah Weeks, News 8, Metro Traffic.
This Metro Traffic Report is sponsored by your North Texas Chevy Geo dealers, where right now you'll find 50 reasons why Texans prefer Chevy trucks over Ford.
If you love the outdoors as much as I do, you need a Chevy truck.
Like this new Suburban. It's the only truck this side of a semi I can really stretch out in. And if you've got a trailer to tow, Suburban Standard V8's got the power to get the job done. And here's what you might call Suburban's little brother, the new four-door S10 Blazer. It's got plenty of room for your gear and all your friends. Buy a four-door Blazer now and save up to $2,200. See the Chevy Suburban and the four-door S10 Blazer now at your North Texas Chevy GO dealer.
At first, I was really only thinking of chicken. You know, something healthy and quick for my family. We were sitting right here, kicking around recipe ideas, and a friend of mine said, what about turkey? And just like that, we were into Turkey by George. Just think, fresh turkey ready in minutes in flavors like hickory barbecue and mustard tarragon. No preservatives, no MSG, and all less than 200 calories. So if you want something healthy, easy to make, and just a little different, we're ready to talk turkey.
Live the dreams of the great summer life at the 35th Annual Fort Worth Boat Show at the Convention Center in downtown Fort Worth. Every Tarrant County marine dealer, plus the best from all of North Texas, will be showing you over 600 competition ski boats, fishing rigs, family runabouts, deck boats, cruisers, bass boats, everything you need for fun on the water. And they're all offered at special low boat show prices. See all the sparkling new 91 models at the big winter show. The Fort Worth Boat Show at the Convention Center through Sunday, January 20th.
Advanced salon thinking from the salons of Vidal Sassoon. Vidal Sassoon conditioning rinse. It goes beyond traditional conditioners and helps protect hair too. First, it finds and conditions the damaged areas and goes on to help seal and protect hair overall. From heat, from styling, from the world. So your hair moves, shines, feels salon fabulous. Go beyond conditioning. Protect with Vidal Sassoon. Advanced salon thinking, advanced salon hair.
Daybreak continues here on Channel 8. It's 6:40.
When news of the war broke, members of the Persian Gulf Support Group got together in Arlington to comfort each other. The group members have relatives serving in Operation Desert Storm. And the parents of servicemen and women find strength in numbers. Nadine Tinker's 22-year-old son Grady is with the 82nd Airborne Division. Millie Phillips' son John is with the military police.
And what I felt was fear. I couldn't wait to get home, even though I was hearing it on the radio station. My mind just couldn't think of anything but, oh God, keep them safe. That's all I could say.
We'll probably meet a little more often and just try to laugh together and cry together and just be there for each other.
The Persian Gulf Support Group has been meeting once a month. Now they expect to meet once a week. Well, many people at local church meetings last night voiced mixed feelings.
They deplore the violence of the war, but many feel the violence is necessary. Here's Channel 8's Don Wall.
So we lose Dean Reynolds in Jerusalem. There he is back again. Dean continues.
At Fort Worth's Broadway Baptist Church, some members watched television for the news. Others learned about the war at a fellowship meeting.
It's a job that's got to be done, and I think the country has the will to do it.
It's about the saddest thing I think I've ever heard. As I listened to it on the radio, I was appalled.
It's a very sad time for this country. I pray that George Bush has made the right decision. I pray that maybe Saddam Hussein might see the light very quickly.
Children at the church also reacted to the news of war.
The U.S. decided to do it because Saddam Hussein wouldn't get out of Kuwait.
Yeah, so you think that it's the right thing?
Yes, but I don't like the killing. Well, I'm real scared for some of the people that have gone over there and have decided to fight.
Hazel Morris is a professor of childhood education. She thinks the war will be difficult for children to understand.
I think the anxieties of children right now are very, very high. They're concerned because they know people who are there. So I think that probably many children will be having bad dreams, showing anxiety.
In Dallas at the First Baptist Church, people prayed and embraced each other upon learning the news that we are at war.
It is unbelievable. We're in shock. We have to respect President Bush's decision to do this and uphold that decision, support him as a nation, certainly.
We're praying for our leaders and for all of our servicemen.
that they'll make the right decisions and that we can get through this with as few casualties as possible.
There's a very wide range of opinions about this war, but many people seem to agree that now that we are in it, we should do everything possible to win it quickly. Don Wall, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.
And if you have any questions or you need information on the war in the Gulf, Channel 8 has set up a hotline. That number is 988-7888. Again, call 988-7888 for information and answers about what's going on in the Middle East. And we will take a look at how the war there is affecting the business world when we come back.
We'll have another weather forecast coming up in just a couple of moments. Right now, it's about 16.5 away from 7 o'clock.
The Big Zero. That's the finance charge at Highland for 1 full year on new in-carton merchandise. From audio and video to home office equipment and appliances on purchases of $250 or more. In fact, everything you've ever wanted is at Highland Superstore's 0% financing event with absolutely no interest payment. And by the way, it's now through Saturday only.
In the last decade, home ownership fell for the first time since the Depression. But at NCNB, we believe even today, your home is still your most important investment. That's why this year we'll provide over $4 billion for home improvement, home equity, and mortgage loans. After all, when you're the nation's 7th largest banking company, you can't forget that your most important investments are right here at home.
Opens early tomorrow at 8 a.m. It's our last red apple of the year with 2-day savings of 20 to 50%.
Shop early, shop late, but don't hesitate.
You know, the holidays are always a time of give and take. But with Foley's Red Apple Sale, you can give a lot more.
Foley's Red Apple Sale.
It's 6:45. Daybreak continues.
In business news this morning, the start of war in the Persian Gulf has sent oil prices through the roof. The New York Mercantile Exchange was already closed at the time of the strike, but oil in the cash market took an immediate hit, soaring from the futures close of $32 a barrel to $40 a barrel. Prices eventually eased back to about the $35 a barrel mark. Well, part of that was due to steps taken by President Bush to prevent sharp run-up in prices following the pre-dawn attack. The president authorized the Energy Department to release nearly 34 million barrels of oil from the government Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That oil will go on sale immediately. In addition to the U.S., 13 other countries, including Germany and Japan, are also releasing oil from their reserves. 4 of the largest oil companies in the United States froze their prices for gasoline at pre-war levels. Conoco, Mobil, Chevron, and Unocal Corporation announced the price freeze just after the war began. Mobil said the action is to show support for American policy and said the prices would stay down until further notice. Chevron promised to keep prices down for at least a week. Both companies urged the public not to resort to panic buying. Quinn?
Although the U.S. stock market has yet to react to events in the Middle East, here is how other world markets digested the news. In Tokyo, reports of the attack came just moments before the opening bell sounded. After an initial plunge, the Nikkei 225 closed the day up 1,004 points. That's the 10th biggest point gain on record. And in London, the Financial Times 100 index at mid-morning was up more than 40 points. Well, after months of anticipation and speculation of war, Wall Street again was asleep when the fighting in the Gulf broke out. The New York Stock Exchange says it will be business as usual today. Trading will get underway at its regular time. Yesterday, the Dow gained 18 points in very light trading to close at 2508.91. Now, to take a look at stocks of local interest and see how they did, and again, this was before the outbreak of war, AMR, American Airlines parent company, closed up 7/8 of a point. APIA, American Petrofina, down 0.5. ARCO, down 3/8. Bank One, up 0.5. Belo, down 1/8. Burlington Northern, up 3/4. Burlington Resources, up 1 1/8. Central and Southwest and Chemical Bank, both rose 1/8 of a point. Chili's up 1. Convex up 7/8. Dresser Industries up 1/4. Insearch up 1/8. Exxon and First City, Texas, down 1/8. First Interstate up 5/8. GME unchanged. GTE rose 1/8 of a point. General Dynamics was down 1/4. Halliburton up 0.5. Kimberly-Clark down 0.5. Mesa Limited Partnership up 1/8, Mobil down 3/4, NCNB rose 1/8 of a point. Occidental Petroleum up 1/2, Oryx down 1/4, JCPenney up 7/8, PepsiCo up 3/4, Southwest Airlines up a point, Tandy up 3/8. Texas Industries rose 1/4 of a point, Texas Instruments up 1.5, Texas Utilities 1/4, and USX at the close yesterday down 3/8 of a point.
The dollar is down in 2 of 3 overseas markets this morning. In Tokyo, the dollar was up and then fell against the Japanese yen. The dollar is down against the German mark, but the dollar rose against the British pound. And turning now to gold. Gold opened over $20 down in Zurich, opened down in London about $20, and gold was up $4 at yesterday's close in New York City.
Well, your morning newspaper is probably already on your doorstep, but with the fast-changing developments out of the Gulf, it's taken a tremendous effort for the Times-Herald, the Morning News, and the Star-Telegram to get you up-to-date information this morning.
Channel 8's Vince Patton reports on the late-night efforts from the Dallas Morning News printing plant.
The newsroom is a scene of organized chaos. 3 hours after the raid on Iraq, the Morning News has decided to add 8 pages to the paper and an extra 40,000 papers to the press run overnight. At the production plant, even the extra workload isn't enough to distract Bubba Gilbert from the developments in the Gulf. Gilbert works under the peculiar yellow light required for photographic press plates. He's also a tank commander in the National Guard.
Are you worried? Yes, sir. You know, but I'm like the president. I'm at peace with myself, and I'm ready to do whatever needs to be done.
Gilbert says he's lost a lot of sleep recently, wondering if his unit will be called up. This night, his primary concern is helping to get out an extra paper. The negative for page 1 arrives half an hour late. The headline on this special edition will be plain and straightforward. Allies strike Iraq.
We changed the size of the paper at the last minute. We went up an additional 8 pages in the paper at the last minute. This section was not supposed to be in there.
A special war section.
Special war section.
With a few pages still delayed, press operators have time to read the history in their hands. Finally, almost 1 hour past normal deadline, the presses roll. The headlines, the early reports, they all hit home for Tanya Hawley in the production room. Her brother is on the USS Independence.
It's really hard. I didn't really know it was going to go this far.
There is something about the cold black ink of the printed page to turn the words from faraway lands into reality. History in the making is now history preserved. But this is just the first edition. The night is young. And so is the war. Vince Patton, Channel 8 News.
Good story.
And when you step outside to get your paper, you may find the weather the way Neil will tell us about, I think, right
we
now.
We hope it's good, but you know what? We have no idea. We have no windows in here. Neil, how's it look?
Rain right now just to our north and to our northwest. As we take a look at our current conditions, the temperature is 44, humidity 86, the pressure is falling, winds north at 7, and rain again just to our north. Radar shows right now most of the rainfall to our north and to our west, and we'll go on and look at the 4D satellite picture and see moisture coming in out of the west with a big upper storm. That'll be here by tomorrow to give us a very good chance of rain. And again, this morning we're seeing cloudy skies and a north wind. Temperatures, we're at 44 again. Wind chill factors make it feel just a bit cooler, like 35. Let's go on and look at lunchtime. Chance of rain just to our southwest will be at 45. Our high today should be around 50 at 5 o'clock, and tomorrow will be in the 40s all day long as we take a look at tomorrow's forecast page. Tomorrow morning's low 42, tomorrow's high 45 with a very good chance of rain. Here's the 5-day forecast. Today, scattered showers and 50. Big chance of rain and thunderstorms tomorrow, then finally clearing out by Saturday. And the latter part of the weekend looks real good. Quinn, Lisa?
Right. Thanks, Neil. We're going to go live now to a media conference, a U.S. military briefing in Saudi Arabia.
Very good.
Saudi capital, which is the location of the U.S. High Command. I'm afraid we're rather late in getting to that, and so let's see if we can get Barry Dunsmore on the phone. Barry Dunsmore is not there. He's at the briefing. Well, we will do as much as we can in a hurry to bring you up to date with any details of import there may have been in there. other than the messages which he was referring to, General Schwarzkopf's message to the troops when they went into combat last night. Here's what we do know, according to Senator Sam Nunn of Georgia, who talked to the Secretary of Defense early this morning. One U.S. airplane has been knocked down. We do not know the whereabouts of the pilot or whether there was a co-pilot with him or a munitions officer on board. And at the military briefing in London this morning, ABC's John McKenzie reports that one Tornado fighter bomber was lost. There is only anecdotal evidence to suggest that one U.S. Air Force captain knocked down one Iraqi plane over Baghdad in what appears to have been a very limited air-to-air engagement between the U.S. and Iraq. And the French government, or the French military, this morning has reported some damage to several of its aircraft and at least one pilot wounded, but none of them lost. We'll get you more details as quickly as we can. Once again, here's Charlie.
Full break. This special edition of Good Morning America will continue in just a moment.
Ever feel too clumsy some mornings to make a pot of coffee? Wake up to Maxwell House filter packs. Coffee blended with Colombian beans. Pre-measured in their own filters. Because better beans do make better coffee. No fumbling, no bumbling. You get a perfect pot every time. Maxwell House filter packs blended with Colombian beans. Because better beans make better coffee.
A woman who's never done a dishonest thing in her life finds herself falling into a love affair with a musician.
It's a little vague, Alice. Who's the woman? Who's the man? Who's the poor husband? What makes it interesting? Is it lurid? Is it sexual? Perverse? Where does it go?
Where am I going?
Alice, written and directed by Woody Allen, rated PG-13. Now playing in select cities, starts January 25th at theaters near you.
Just wait, Jess. 10 years, and we'll have a real house with a real yard where I can sit in the shade and you can run your little tail off. We'll get there, Jess. That's a promise.
Alpo. All the meat dogs love, fortified with all the vitamins and minerals they need to eat well and be well into the future.
It's gonna be gorgeous, Jessie. You'll see.
Well, finally this morning, a group of Dallas peace activists unknowingly began their rally at the same hour the president chose to start a war.
Channel 8's Matt Quinn delivered the news to the protesters and watched what looked like a scene from the past.
All we are saying is give peace a chance.
By Wednesday evening, the reflecting pool at Dallas City Hall Plaza looked and sounded like a scene from the 60s.
All we are saying.
This was the bittersweet ending of a peace rally which had begun 2 hours earlier, at about the same time the war was beginning. The peace protesters found out about it the same way most people did, on television.
It started?
It has started, yeah. ABC is reporting that it has started.
What's this?
Oh, my God. By mid-evening, the crowd on City Hall Plaza had grown to more than 150, and opposition to the new war was growing, too.
We need to be back here every night. We need to be back here. If there's going to be war in the Gulf, there must not be peace in America. Let's fill the jails.
I am very sad, but I am proud of you. At this age of 80, I want to be with you on every occasion you meet, you pray in the church. I'll be with you like a brother, like an admirer.
Imagine all the people living for today.
Many of the faces here were too young to have lived this scene the first time, nearly a quarter century ago. But they hope to raise the same old questions. Matt Quinn, Channel 8 News.
And one recap for you, the news conference that we tried to go to in Saudi Arabia. The military basically just restated what President Bush said last night as he addressed the nation and told us of war. They also said the initial reports out of Iraq are very encouraging, and it looks like the U.S. attack has been very, very successful and gone as planned.
And also this word from Senator Sam Nunn. He says he has been told that one U.S. plane has been downed. That's quite a bit less than fewer than the 14 that Iraq claims were downed. Again, an initial report that one U.S. plane was down. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Daybreak. Stay tuned to ABC and Channel 8, and we will be here with reports every half hour.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Too scared to remember on the next Oprah Show.
Grapefruit juice? Sure, it's good for you, but the taste? Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. A taste so smooth, so sweet, you know it's Ocean Spray. Hey. Try the smoother, sweeter taste of Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail.
When you have a cold or the flu, there's no reason to feel bad about the cost of feeling better. Walmart can save you cold cash every day on NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine is only $5.48 every day at Walmart. Once you know what NyQuil can do, nothing else will do. And it's especially nice at a great Walmart price. Walmart, always a low price on the brands you trust. Always.
I grew up in Texas with blacktop roads and horny toads and starry, starry nights.
Southwest Airlines proudly unfurls Lone Star One, a flagship in our Boeing 737 fleet and a high-flying tribute to the indomitable spirit that makes Texas a true state of mind. On this, our 20th anniversary, we pause to thank you, our wonderful customers, our remarkable employees, and our dear friends for your patronage, your support, and your love.
And the Lone Star is flying high, proud and undefeated, right where it belongs, shining in the Texas sky. The Lone